So hi everyone, I'm Tori Piccin and I run the partner marketing here at Clearbanc. Throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to build brand and marketing strategies for a variety of beauty and wellness companies in the mid-market and enterprise luxury space. And in my previous role as area marketing for Saks Fifth Avenue, I had the privilege of working with some of the most well-recognized beauty, fragrance, and skincare brands in the world, helping them develop the marketing and strategic partnership programs for Saks Fifth Avenue locations across Canada. A little bit about Clearbanc. So we're the world's largest e-commerce investor and online growth platform. We help online brands grow and scale their business. To date, Clearbanc's invested $1.5 billion into over 4,000 e-commerce and SaaS companies, which we're very proud of. And we funded 8 times more female founders than traditional VC. So we're able to surface between 10,000 to 10 million in growth capital to help founders fund things like marketing expenses or inventory. And we do this on a rev share financing model. So Clearbanc's partner program is a global ecosystem of the world's leading agencies, tech integrations, VCs, platforms, and more that really help our founders grow their business at every stage of the sales funnel. And one of the partners we work with quite closely is Klarna, who are leaders in the buy now, pay later space, especially in beauty and wellness. And I'm thrilled to have them join me for this conversation on how buy now, pay later is changing the beauty industry. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Sindhura Sarikonda from Klarna to introduce herself.
Perfect. Thank you, Tori. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm Sindhura Sarikonda. Like Tori said, I'm VP of Growth at Klarna. Prior to Klarna, I actually had quite a bit of a career in beauty. I was most recently at Walmart eCommerce, where I launched and led Prestige Beauty. I also oversaw beauty for Jet.com. Prior to Walmart and Jet, I actually founded my own D2C business and ran that for a few years. From what I hear, we have quite a few founders here with us today, so I will try to be as helpful as I can be. A bit of background on Klarna for those of you that are not familiar with us. Klarna is a leading buy now, pay later payments provider and a shopping experience all-in-one. Globally, we have about 90 million customers and work with over 250,000 merchants. The US is our fastest growing market. We have about 15 million customers in the US, and we're adding about 1 million new customers every single month. One of our partners is Bernice from Rare Beauty, so I will pass it along to her now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bernice. I lead e-commerce over at Rare Beauty. For those who are maybe unfamiliar, Rare Beauty launched in September of 2020, an exciting time to launch a brand. And our founder is quite the household name, Selena Gomez. And so I've been with the brand for about 2 years, part of the original team brought in to launch the brand. And prior to Rare Beauty, I was at L'Oreal for 6 years at 2 different brands, first at Urban Decay and NYX Cosmetics on their e-commerce teams as well.
Great. Well, thanks for the introductions, ladies. I'm excited to dive right into this. We're going to start off with the growth of buy now, pay later. And Sindhura, I have a first question for you. So why has buy now, pay later risen to popularity, and why does it appeal to millennials and Gen Z?
Yeah, it's a great first question, Tori. So there are some macro trends that show that there is lower adoption of credit cards amongst millennials and Gen Z. And that's certainly driving growth of BNPL because it allows you to get credit in a different and much simpler way. And for those of you that are not familiar with how BNPL works, you go to a platform or a site, you shop, and you immediately get extended credit to buy whatever it is that you want to buy, and it's interest-free. The other piece of it that we don't talk about often is consumer preference. When Klarna initially reached out to me, I had never used BNPL, and I actually hadn't considered it as a payment option. But I could see in the numbers that there was just massive demand for BNPL. So there was just something that I clearly wasn't intuitively understanding about the product. So the first thing I did was I asked my team, which was predominantly Gen Z and younger millennials, if they had ever used BNPL. Almost all of them had used BNPL, and that was honestly shocking to me. They all had credit cards, and we talked about credit card points often. They were all compensated well, and they didn't need to pay in installments, but they all did. So I asked them why, and the simple answer was just that they preferred it. They thought it was much simpler. They loved the app experience. They loved that they could see and track all of their stores and everything that they've shopped in one place. And perhaps most importantly, for the ones that used Klarna, they just identified with the brand, which is a really powerful thing in itself. Imagine identifying with a bank as a brand you want to be associated with. And that's exactly what Klarna was able to do. And that's why it was so appealing to me as a next step in my career.
That's so interesting. Yeah. I wonder, Bernice, do you see that from your end too, these same trends?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I had a similar journey when, I've been in D2C and in beauty for a while, and I think that the rise has been pretty steady. And when approached for it for Rare, I personally never used it before, had the same questions myself, is this really going to provide value to the customer? And I leaned on my customer service team and asked them, are you guys seeing feedback from the consumers, because they're on the front lines? And they said, yes, people are asking when it's going to be ready and available to them. And so I think that's a big indicator to me that if people are emailing in and calling in asking for it, that it is something that we should consider as a service to our consumers. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's clear Buy Now Pay Later is not going anywhere. It's just going to keep ramping up, which I'm very excited about. So Sindhura, I know that Klarna is about to publish an upcoming beauty report that's talking about the shift in consumer trends within the beauty category. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me start with what our beauty report is. We
Yeah.
surveyed 14,000 beauty shoppers, Klarna beauty shoppers, to understand how their behavior has shifted during the pandemic. So I'll give you guys a sneak peek of that. The official report is coming out at the end of the month. The first trend is, not surprisingly, skincare continues to dominate. It was the #1 spending category since the pandemic began. Beauty shoppers are increasingly value driven when they make purchasing decisions. Again, not new news. We've been seeing that for a while now as a trend. What I thought was interesting was inclusivity was the most important brand value for Gen Z and millennials, while sustainability was the most important value for older generations. We also found that 75% of beauty shoppers said that paying in installments was the biggest improvement to online shopping. I will caveat that by saying these are Klarna shoppers, so it is a bit skewed towards people that like using Buy Now Pay Later, but it is really good to see that our shoppers found this to be a meaningful improvement in their Klarna to be a meaningful improvement in their shopping journey. And then lastly, when we asked about the overall shopping experience, buyers or shoppers said that buy online and pick up in store was the biggest improvement in their shopping experience. So if you're thinking about launching a brand, even if it's just local pickup that you can do, we recommend doing it because it does meaningfully change and better the shopping journey for the customer. Now, these 4 trends, I've been in the beauty industry for 5-6 years now. These are trends we've been seeing for a while, but so it's not new news, but it's the rapid acceleration and staying power of these trends that you should really take away from this report.
That's amazing. So when can we expect the report to be live? I can't wait to read it.
It will be live end of March.
End of March. Amazing. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for that. Bernice, on your end, what kind of consumer trends have you been seeing?
I would say that it very much echoes what the Klarna report indicates. I think 2020 in particular was quite a year for, I think, the world, but particularly in America, quite a time for a catalyst for change. And we saw that a lot as well. I think that there's a large rallying cry from consumers about inclusivity, and it's really top of mind. And brands are taking notice, and particularly at Rare, it's been a part of our brand ethos from the very beginning, and one it is that we stand really firmly on. So it's great. I think that consumers are starting to hold brands more accountable to their messaging. What is it that they stand for? And representation, I think that's incredibly important. And as somebody that's a beauty marketer, I'm excited to see consumers holding brands accountable for that. And as somebody who's been in beauty for a while, the rise of skincare certainly doesn't surprise me. We've been seeing the trend towards that for years now. I do think that color is going to make a comeback once people are excited to be leaving their homes and to be shedding their masks when it's safe. But I think just the rise of overall self-care in general, and just taking a moment, taking a breath and thinking about the things it is that bring us joy. And maybe that's a really great at-home facial, maybe that's a really great lipstick. But I think that's what we're seeing resonating with consumers.
That's great. I think I want to kind of jump into really what the impact of Buy Now, Pay Later offers on business growth. So getting a little bit more in depth here, like Sindhura, maybe I'll start with you. So like, how does Buy Now, Pay Later really help D2C brands when it comes to average order value or conversion or anything else you're seeing?
Yeah, that's another great question, Tori, and it's a really important one for brands to know. So on average, we see a 41% increase in average order value and a 30% increase in conversion. For those of you that have been in e-commerce for a long time, like I have, you know that those numbers are truly wild numbers. There are a few variables at work here and why that's happening. One is that BNPL increases your customers' purchasing power real time, which in itself leads to higher average order value and higher conversion. At Klarna, we also have a significant customer base. It's 15 million in the US, 90 million globally, and there's a lot that we do behind the scenes to raise awareness of our brand partners and to essentially drive traffic to them. That leads to an overall increase in sales, as well as the potential to acquire a different kind of customer that may be willing to spend more with your brand.
It's so interesting. I mean, even at Clearbanc, our founders, we're always trying to help them increase average order value. It seems to be a metric that you can be stuck in. And Buy Now, Pay Later is such, I guess, an easy solution that you can add to your brand and really help to increase that AOV and conversion rate. So Bernice, I'm putting you in the hot seat here. What's your experience been like working with Klarna to date? And do you have any interesting metrics that you'd like to share after integrating Klarna with Rare Beauty?
Yeah, it's been a really great partnership. We launched in late November, just in time for Black Friday weekend, which was great. And since launch, what it is that we've seen is in terms of the Klarna average order value versus our blended average order value, the Klarna AOV is consistently about 20% higher, which is great. I mean, the way it is, I think about it for e-commerce is that your conversion rate and your AOV really should be driven up in parallel. I think that that's what really gives it strength. And so it's great to have a partner that helps us to boost that AOV without us really having to do anything else different. What's particularly interesting as well is when I drill down to the top products, just in general, our top sellers versus the top sellers of Klarna purchases, we have our core A SKUs are certainly mixed in there, but on average, if you look at the kind of top 5 SKUs, for Klarna orders versus just an average non-Klarna order, the mix is slightly different. And with the Klarna orders, the average price per item is about 8% higher. And so what we're seeing is that consumers are picking up our core items, but they're also picking up items that are at a higher price point that maybe they would have been a little bit more hesitant to purchase if it was not for BNPL.
That's amazing. I love hearing that. It drives into my next question, really, like, how do you choose a payment option provider? I know, Sindhura, we've been starting with you, but maybe Bernice will switch it up. How did you decide what the best Buy Now, Pay Later option was for Rare Beauty?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly competition in this space at this point. And for me, with selecting any partner for any of the brands it is that I've worked at, it's about selecting a partner. And so it's not just about finding a piece of technology to add to our tech stack, turn it on and walk away. It's about finding a long-term partnership that's going to want to work with us, that's going to want to grow with the business, that is really a two-way street. And I found that we really had that with Klarna. It's the partnership team has been great in wanting to understand our business, wanting to understand how it is that they can help. I think that that's been really beneficial. I think that the international reach of Klarna has certainly been really helpful and really attractive as well, as we are looking into international expansion for 2021 for our D2C business. And I would say that the third piece of it too is the demographic. I mean, Klarna has really carved out a really core audience and a consumer, and that was really appealing to me to be able to kind of cross market that way as well.
Yeah, it's great when you like the people you work with, right? Enjoy working with them.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, that's great to hear. I guess I'm hearing from some of our panelists, or sorry, from our attendees. Sindhura, what should merchants look for when selecting the best buy now, pay later options for their business?
Yeah, well, everything Bernice just said, certainly. And our team loves working with Rare Beauty as well. So it's a really great partnership. I'll add to that and say just incrementality in general. So not just incremental sales from increases in conversion AOV, but also new customer acquisition should be something you should consider. And then customer awareness of your BNPL partner. Your customer should be aware of that brand and what it means when you put them on your platform. And lastly, fees. Fees are always important, so fees should be part of that consideration. And then if you are a global brand or intend to be a global brand like Rare Beauty, certainly consider the global presence of your BNPL provider.
Okay, great. We're getting a lot of questions in the chat, but it kind of leads into my next question. So what's kind of the logistics behind integrating Klarna on your website, and what's the experience like?
I can take that. So you can just go to Klarna.com. We have a for business page there that tells you all about why you should use Klarna, tells you how to integrate. And then alternatively, you can just find me on LinkedIn, shoot me a note, and I can put you in touch with the right folks who can help you with anything you need.
All right, great. And then Bernice, from your end, what was it like integrating Klarna? Scale from 1 to 10, how simple was it?
It was fairly simple. I would say that with most brands, probably the most complex part of it is any customizations it is that you're wanting to add in based on brand aesthetics and brand needs. But it was really, really simple. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a 3 or a 4 in terms of simplicity, which is great. We were able to get the agreement signed and get up and running really, really quickly.
Nice. So what's kind of the length of time then? Is there an average length of time? Is it like 2 weeks, or what does that look like?
We can move pretty quickly on our end. It's just a matter of prioritization on both ends, but we can move. We've gotten brands live within 2-3 days. It's taken longer because of a number of different things. Depends on the platform you're using. It depends on how quickly you can get contracts signed on your end. So a lot of different variables, but we move very quickly on our end.
That's great. I knew that. I just wanted you to reiterate. That's amazing how fast Klarna, how fast you guys move, and you're really helping so many founders and D2C brands move quick as well. So I love hearing that. I want to chat now about kind of the future of buy now, pay later. What's ahead for payment options and buy now, pay later, and how will buy now, pay later evolve this year and beyond, Sindhura?
Well, in my opinion, I think buy now, pay later is going to be ubiquitous. It already feels like it's everywhere online, but you'll start to see it everywhere in stores as well. And then there will be certain buy now, pay laters like Klarna that will begin to play an even more critical role as a marketing engine for brands and as a customer acquisition tool for brands and retailers. We're seeing that today, but I expect that to just accelerate going forward. And if you're not convinced, by my opinion, Bank of America recently put out a report saying that by the year 2025, they expect buy now, pay later to be 10 to 15 times the size that it is today. In dollar terms, that's between $650 billion to $1 trillion transacting through buy now, pay later. So we've seen significant growth thus far, but I think we'll see even greater acceleration in the years to come.
Those are huge numbers. I can't wait to see what this year looks like for buy now, pay later. Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome. Bernice, on your end, I know Rare Beauty just launched recently, but what's in the works for this year and beyond for your company?
Yeah, we have some really exciting product launches coming this year that I'm really excited about. The team's really excited about. And I hope that the consumers love it as much as we do. I mentioned international as well, and that's a big focus for us this year. We hear the cries of the consumers on when are you going to ship internationally? When is it going to be available in my country? We hear them, we see them, and we're going to do our best to meet them there this year.
That's great. Well, I can't wait to see what happens with Rare Beauty as well. Lots of exciting stuff for 2021. I guess I like ending off conversations before we go into the Q&A with some more like fun, personal questions. I hope you girls don't mind. So what's been your favorite experience working in beauty to date? Bernice, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, beauty is really exciting in that the consumers are just such loyal fans. And I think that that's what keeps drawing me back to beauty brand after beauty brand, is that we have just the very, very best consumers that keep us as marketers on our toes, keeps us accountable. But they also just are so excited about the brands and the products that it makes it really easy for us to show up to work every day. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's what's so interesting about beauty is things change so quickly too. Like you have all your plans for next quarter and then you can just, it pivots really quickly, which is nice because with 2021, everyone's pivoting quite quickly and moving fast, like we talked about. So that's great to hear. Sindhura, what about you? What's been your favorite experience in beauty today?
Well, I have to echo what Bernice said, but I do have a fun story, and I'll be very quick. There was at Walmart, we were partnering with Ellen for a project, so I had gone to LA to meet with Ellen. So I had my phone off, obviously, I'm not checking my email while I'm in a meeting with Ellen. So 2 hours later, I opened up my phone. I have hundreds of messages from our PR, legal, social team because Jeffree Star was threatening to sue Walmart and it was going viral. It was one of the most surreal days of my career because it truly was going viral on Twitter. And I was like, I can't believe I just met Ellen and now Jeffree Star is suing us. And it was just such a fun beauty experience and just showed just how powerful beauty customers are as a contingent, and just how loyal they are.
Yeah, and you're still working in beauty after that. That's great. Says a lot. This is my favorite question too. The best piece of advice you've ever received in your career. So Cinderella, I'll let you start.
Yeah, it was actually a professor. So not in my career, but I had a professor that said, if something doesn't make sense to you, it probably doesn't make sense and you should question it. It was such an empowering thing to hear, and take for the rest of my career, because there are very few people that truly question everything if it doesn't make sense. And it's something that I tell all my teams, even if I ask you to do something, if it doesn't make sense, question it, push back and change it if you can. It's served me well. And it's, I've seen people on my team go and do amazing things and serve them well as well.
Great. Bernice, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's what it is I strive for is to find rooms to be in where I'm not the smartest person, and that's really easy, particularly at organizations where I've been a part of, such as L'Oreal. So it's about being in rooms where there are people that you can learn a lot from, that you can constantly ask questions of, and to be challenged. I think that you're as good as the team you surround yourself with and the colleagues in which you surround yourself with. And so I think that's also been a huge passion of mine, being in beauty, is having worked with a lot of really great people who are just so talented, so smart, and who have taught me so much. And so I think that's something it is that I personally always strive for, is to surround myself by people who are much smarter than me.
That's great advice. I appreciate that. So we have a few questions in the chat. I'm going to try and go through them, but actually one question I have really, so we focus on Gen Z and millennials really taking advantage of buy now, pay later and accelerating that kind of financing. Is it just Gen Z and millennial, or are you seeing it in older demographics?
So about 75% of our customer demographic is Gen Z and millennial. So it is predominantly Gen Z and millennial, but we are seeing it essentially grow into other demographics as well. I think it'll take time. It's just a matter of, early adopters generally tend to be younger in tech, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like an educational piece. Like I know with my parents, like I need to teach them how to use it, and then they'll be taking advantage of it as much as possible. Yeah, that's great. Go ahead.
I think it took older demographic, and for my parents, years before it is that they would purchase online. Whereas for most of us, we've been purchasing online since the very beginning, really. So I think, Gen Z and millennials are just carving the way for the other demographics as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, yeah, there's lots going to happen in 2021, and I'm excited for both your brands, Klarna and Rare Beauty, to grow and to watch that journey. I actually have one more question for you, Bernice. So Rare Beauty is sold online. Are you sold other than rarebeauty.com, or is there anywhere else you can access it?
Yeah, we're also available at Sephora brick and mortar stores, as well as Sephora.com, also a Klarna partner.
Okay, great. Amazing. So those are all my questions today. Do you use anything else that you guys want to touch on? Tons of stuff going on in the comments over here. So hopefully we'll get that afterwards and be able to address them all. But yeah, that was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I'm jumping in here only because Clearbanc has been such an incredible partner. Klarna, I've had great conversations with. Bernice, your background and just even getting the personal anecdotes of finding great partners. I just want to give, Tori, you've been such a pleasure to work with. And speaking of great partnerships, there are so many conversations. Obviously, we just did the one with ROI. We have Mana coming on later. So to get that level of relationship building, because these people become, I want to almost say like extended family, right? I mean, you're on text with your partners, you are talking to them on a regular basis. And in some cases, especially an entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial journey, I mean, you're in the hole, you're in the tunnel, from morning to night. I mean, you're getting up sometimes at 5 midnight, Saturdays, Sundays. And so finding the right partner is everything. And I absolutely have loved working with you guys, and it sounds like you have such a great relationship with Bernice. I just really wanted to give you a shout out, but also too going back into some of the tips too, asking the question of when something doesn't make sense, being fearless in your ability to enter and ask those questions. That is the entrepreneurial journey. So that is what we're talking about, right? Broadly. I mean, at a step-to-step level, when you're doing a workflow and saying like, why do I keep writing the same thing over and over, right? Quite simply, like, should I use a template or something? But at a basic level right? Like, I use this product, it burns my skin. There's got to be a better way. And being able to ask that question as well, or something like that. That's what everyone here has done. And so just for all the listeners, I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs here today, to keep asking those questions, keep entering the rooms with people like, Klarna and Clearbanc and Bernice from Rare Beauty. And then just, if I can encourage, I see the chat going off, but keep going. Yeah. Chat with each other, add each other on LinkedIn, keep the conversations going. We're not in the same room today. We're here virtually. And, we don't have the opportunity to be, physically next to all these brilliant minds who have been in the trenches. So just text, LinkedIn, chat, find each other, Instagram, DM, slide into the DMs, do what you need to do, but do not walk away from today without making a meaningful connection that you did not already have coming into today. That is my pro tip. With that, I know I jumped in here. You guys are about to shift off, but I just wanted to say thank you again and acknowledge. I think those were such great tips, and this is such a great session. So Tori, thank you so much.